assess their decisions and their decision?
They made really good decisions. There wasn't there wasn't a lot of shots that first 30 minutes that I wasn't crazy about. I thought for the most part we had a good mix of inside and outside. I thought it was Art's most active game of the year. I thought his effort on the offensive glass and defensive glass and keeping things a little simpler maybe offensively, just ripping it and going, and he was able to get the free throw line a few times doing that. So on the basketball moves, we're pretty good, and especially if we're getting enough touches down low. So to make sure that it has to be a focal point and part of what we do. And I thought we got him involved a fair amount during those first 30 minutes of the game.
Matt, you mentioned Art. I guess in my eyes, it feels like he's probably bought into what he can be now instead of maybe looking ahead to the future and his projections. I guess how much of an emphasis has it been for him to focus on the smaller things?
He came back after the Christmas break, and he had 5 really good. He missed one practice, so four really good practices in a row where I thought he was really locked in on both ends of the floor, and we talked about rebounding and the impact that can have, and it really did tonight. So Art's obviously when you're in that situation, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of noise, and you got to try to block that out and just play the game. And I thought he played the game the right way tonight and played really well.
Was this the type of performance you would like to see heading into really tough?
Yeah, and it was a 10-day break, so you don't really know. I like the way we practiced. And generally speaking, if you practice well, you hope that's what's gonna show up on the game floor. But when you hadn't played in 10 days, you don't really know as a coach. So I thought we came out and did what we needed to do, and you have to protect your home floor if you're going to be successful in this league. And we lost to a good Marquette team, and then we've come home and taken care of business on our home floor. And Seton Hall is they were lost a one-possession game to Providence, a one-possession game at Xavier. We all saw what Rutgers did last night at Purdue. They won at Rutgers. So this is a good basketball team. So for us to do it in the fashion that we did it is a step in the right direction for us. And hopefully we'll be locked in Thursday and Friday for practice as we prepare for what I think is one of the best teams in the country.
Is there still room for this defense to maybe unlock another level?
Yeah, absolutely. I think guys are improving. I think guys understand, and it's different with Kalkbrenner. So you have a luxury of making sure you run a guy off the 3-point line if he's a shooter. And we did a great job on Dawes and Harris. I mean, that's what they do. They shoot threes, and for the most part, they didn't get a lot of looks. But when he's back there, you can take that extra step and make sure you get him off the 3-point line because you have that protection back there. So I think guys understand each other a little bit better. We'll be tested more than we have all year. Much like the Arizona game. I don't think there's a lot of weakness in UConn's attack, just like Arizona. So the defense is really going to be tested Saturday at noon, whenever the heck it is.
You've talked a lot about the jump it takes, the amount of focus it takes to be a premier two-way guy like Trey has to do this year. And tonight he produced as many points as he did against DePaul, between points and assists, and then shut down Kadari. Do you think he's starting to really settle into that role and figure out what it takes?
Yeah, I talked about it before the season. I mean, I think a young player especially thinks they can do it and that it's not going to impact their offense. The reality of it is if you have your focus is where it needs to be defensively, it's going to impact your offense until you get accustomed to it. This is my job every night, and I have to make sure I take care of that, and then I'll let the offense come to me. And he's done a really good job of embracing that. And we were really worried about Kadari. He's a hard matchup for a lot of teams. I didn't want Trey to get in foul trouble because we don't really have another guy with a combination of size, length, athletic ability that Trey has to guard someone like that. So, like I said, I thought the first play of the game was critical. Him beating him to the spot, and taking that charge.
What Brian gives you, obviously, is it more than just what he gives you on the court? Is when he walks on the court, do the other guys feel different because he's out there?
I don't think there's any question. I mean, if you look how we played with him versus without him, it's just, I mean, it's obvious. But to Trey's point, there's a lot of subtle leadership that takes place with Ryan that maybe isn't there for everybody to see, but in the huddle, in the locker room, in practice, his voice is pretty constant, and he's pretty, laid back by nature, but he's really learned the importance of his voice being heard, and I think everybody respects him because they know the job that he has. He has to make decisions on all those ball screens, when to, should I stay on the floor? Should I go for it? Then I got to block out. I think our guys have learned to appreciate how hard his job is, and that's why they listen to him when he talks. So he's been really important for us, and just like he was at the end of last year, and he's, as he said, I thought the last two practices were his best practices since, probably mid-November when he started to get sick. And I think he's finally feeling closer to himself.
Has that voice surprised you anyway? Did you expect him to do that?
It was really hard to get him to do it as a freshman. Last year, he would tell you there was a practice where I lost my cool a little bit because he wasn't talking enough. And from that point forward, he kind of fixed it. And he carried that over into this year. And obviously, the more experience you have, the more you're around guys, the more comfortable you are. And I think he had to force himself to do it last year to a certain extent. And I think this year, I think it's coming natural. I think he understands the importance of it, and obviously, and the way that it impacts our team.
Ryan used the word connectivity, kind of to describe how these guys are playing together. Does that kind of stem from practice, and you kind of seen the? After
that tough stretch, we had a few really hard practices where we put them in situations where they had nowhere to turn but to each other. Like, you can complain, you can point fingers all you want, but you're not getting out of this drill till you figure it out. And they figured it out, and I think recognized the importance of. One guy's guarding the ball, and the other four should be thinking about how am I helping the guy guarding the ball. And I think we were so locked into our scouting report, like, this guy does this, I got to stop him from doing it, that we really lost sight of. It's a team defense here. It's not you doing your job and you doing your job, and it's a game of mistakes. And usually the team that wins is a team that can put the fire out when somebody makes a mistake. And we've grown in that regard. And we have to continue to grow in that regard because we're not perfect, but we're moving the right direction.
What do you feel about Harper's rebounding tonight, especially early, crashing the
Loved it. Like I said, I thought he was as active as he's been all season, and we've encouraged him the last week. That's an easy way to get points. It's an easy way to get to the free throw line, is making that effort. And I thought he was active. My guess is that's the most offensive rebounds he's had this year and the most defensive. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come. Thanks.